You gave a presentation on AI and specifically how Navan has implemented it. Can you give just the high level overview of what you spoke about? Because I think it was really compelling.
Thank you. Actually, CJ, what I thought you were going to say is my best comment was the last panel where we ended 15 minutes early so we could start cocktails 15 minutes early. But I'm happy to talk about AI.
Yeah, thanks for doing us a solid there.
Well, it was interesting. When we were preparing for the conference, we realized there were two topics that CFOs really wanted to talk about. One was AI and one was kind of, management in a period of uncertainty and of economic uncertainty. And on the AI side, for the most part, we all know that we're supposed to use AI. We all want to use AI, but we're not really clear what those actual use cases are. And so Navan is an incredible example of a company who is putting AI to use. There's a real use case. We're not talking about it. We're actually using it. So in travel, you have to be really careful how you use AI because you're not dealing with emojis. You're dealing with people, people's time, people's money. And so there has to be a certain amount of certainty when you put AI to work. And as you know, LLMs are traditionally unreliable. As our CTO and co-founder says, they're very unreliable. You wouldn't hire them. They'd be terrible employees. And so he set out about 2-3 years ago to build an AI operating system called Navan Cognition. And what Navan Cognition lets us do is manage the LLMs or supervise the LLMs so that we can use AI, particularly in our customer support. And through Navan Cognition, we've developed Ava, our AI bot, and Ava now manages about 55% of all our customer support interactions. 7,000 chats a day, and 55% go through Ava, and she has a CSAT rating in the high 80s. So she's good at what she does, and people like her. And because of this use of AI, we've been able to expand our gross margins from mid-50s, 50% to about 69% last fiscal year. And so we're continuing to iterate on finding new use cases to put Navan Cognition, chatbots like Ava. We talked a little bit about our new chatbot, Miles, as a way to continue to improve the service, maintain our reliability, but also expand our gross margins.
Okay, there's a lot of meat on the bone here. This is incredible. Thank you for making my job easier because now I just get to sit back and ask the silly questions. But who's responsible for driving AI adoption at Navan? I know you said that every company wants to be using it, but it's kind of like that Spider-Man meme of everyone it's you, it's me. It's like who is it? The CTO? Is it the CEO? Is it everybody? Do you place a name on it?
Great question. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary yesterday as a company. And what's fascinating is that AI is native to Navan going back to day one, right? And I know a lot of people like to say they're AI native. They really are. And our founders communicated that story. So I would say it goes back to both Ariel, our CEO, and Alon, our CTO, as driving AI. And even though Navan Cognition and Ava didn't exist 10 years ago, machine learning was a part of the strategy. Travel, for example, is one hot mess of all different suppliers, airlines, hotels, car, rail, all different types of suppliers that are out there. And it's too many choices for one individual to make if you're just going to kind of do a spreadsheet of everything. So machine learning was part of the original Navan, or at that time it was called Trip Actions, because you're either going to engage when you have a few good choices, or you're going to disengage because you don't have enough choices or so many that you get overwhelmed. So I would say it's been part of the founding of the company. And then in terms of going forward, I think it's really Alon, our CTO, who finds new ways of using it. It's like you give him a problem and he's like, let's see if we can solve it. And it's also our CEO, who challenges us every day to try to do things differently and more efficiently. And then throughout the organization, and maybe we'll get to this, but within the finance function too, we're constantly looking for ways to use it.
We're definitely going to get to that. What stuck out to me, Amy, is you said we've always been concentrated on machine learning. I think there are a lot of companies out there who now are saying like, yeah, we're AI native, but it's like we just called it something different back then. We were still working in that direction.
Correct. AI, machine learning is AI, right?
Yeah.
It was just the first iteration of it. And now, depending on the company, you're in the second, the third, the fourth iteration. I like baseball, so I'll kind of say I still think we're at early innings.
Yeah. And what else stuck out to me is like, as a fellow CFO, my biggest source of skepticism is like when there's money on the line, like how much are we going to give our agency to something else? And for you, I mean, like you're in the middle of financial transactions, like you have to really think through that, I bet.
Right. Hallucinations can be very, very expensive. And there's that story actually of Air Canada was using AI. A bot issued a refund of a sizable amount. They went to court to try to get the refund back. And the court said, nope, that bot represented you. You don't get that money back. And so when you're dealing with large amounts of money, let alone people's time, like, can you imagine if you went to the airport and all of a sudden you found out you thought you were booked on one plane, but it wasn't until a week later and you couldn't get out for a couple of days? That's not high customer satisfaction by any means.
No, not at all. I'd be pretty miffed at that. And so you said the first bot or version of AI, it's called Ava. I think there was another, this one was a male name. Was it Miles that you've also implemented?
Yeah. Yeah, Miles. Yes, Miles.
Very creative.
Very creative. So Miles is a new bot. And what Miles does is calls the hotel before you arrive to confirm your credit card authorization, right? Because there are many times that people show up at a hotel, maybe late, maybe your plane got in late, maybe your dinner went late, and they say, oh, no, we don't have a room for you. You got here too late. And so what Miles does is he literally calls the front desk and says, hi, I'm Miles. I'm calling for CJ. And I just want to confirm you have his credit card number for later when he checks in. And we record that voice and we put it into the reservation. And so our objective is to improve our credit card authorizations from mid 80s to high 90%. And it's really a customer support, customer satisfaction initiative.
And you beat me there because I wanted to walk this through to the operational impact of what you're doing, which then shows up in the financial impact. So that's pretty wild if you think about it, because I bet your gross margin was burdened by a lot of human support that had to be implemented in order to make sure the trains run on time.
Correct. So in some ways, we're not using these bots just to grow revenue. We're using these bots to improve CSAT and NPS so that people continue to want to use Navan and have a positive experience. And there is a tailwind that comes with a rising NPS. And then incrementally, we're using it to reduce those COGS. So for example, Miles, we can improve that credit card authorization validation by, 10, 15%. We would have had to hire 200 people. Now we just made Miles. Now,
here's the hard-hitting questions that people come to the podcast for. I'm
scared.
No, so when I call Bank of America, right, and they put me on the phone with someone who isn't Miles, it's another agent, I don't love that experience. How close are you when you look at CSAT scores of it being to the satisfaction you would get from a human? Because I imagine you have to say, like, the human experience, we want to eventually either meet that or exceed it.
Sure. Our CSAT for Ava is kind of 85 to 88.
Oh,
Our
okay.
CSAT for a human is kind of in that 93 to 96 range. So we're not too far off.
No.
And what's more amazing to me, because I actually went to Lisbon and sat on our primary customer support desk and listened to these calls. You have to understand, when you're making a call to a customer support person in travel, something has already gone wrong, right?
You don't call because you're like pumped about like your trip to Belize and want to tell them about like the mixed drinks.
Right. And so we actually even have some customers that get mad when it goes to a customer support person. They much rather work with Ava because she's really fast and usually pretty good.
That's crazy. Okay, I get it. And I mean, using AI to summarize documents is one thing. Using it to manage customer support is another. But it sounds like you're also using AI within the finance department yourself.
Right. So to your first question of who's driving this change, I mean, our CEO literally challenged every person on the executive committee to use AI. And I was sitting there in January, kind of as that CFO, like, okay, I know I need to use it, but how do I use it? And threw out that challenge to the org. Every app or system that we are installing, we want to make sure has an AI component to it. So we're about to roll out a new procurement system. We'll be rolling out Zip, which has a good amount of AI in its program. And so that's really important to us. Anything new needs to have AI core to its offering. Second, we actually have a bot named Sage. So our new head of enterprise risk management joined us in January, and she has become the spark plug for everyone wanting to use AI. And so Sage now handles answering any questions about enterprise risk management, about the new procurement system. If there are just questions that the FP&A team keeps getting over and over and again, we put her into Sage. I was actually just speaking with our new communications lead. And I said, have you heard about Sage? He goes, have I heard about Sage? I use Sage. And so now Sage is kind of spread out into the organization. And so we're continuing to look for more ways to do it, but it's very much part of our dialogue.
So you're an overachiever at Navan when it comes to implementing AI on the finance side. If there's someone out there listening like, oh, shit, I have to build my own large language model to keep up here, like, what would you say to them? Like, is the on-ramp that steep, or can they start smaller?
I think you can start smaller. I don't think Sage is out of reach for any finance department, right? We're just using it within our own environment, which makes it safer. But if you have questions that keep getting asked, you can ask, an AI agent to make that for you. Like, that's not hard and it's not expensive. The hard part is getting the culture to be willing to ask the bot the questions or to program the bot.
Yeah. And it is interesting how it seems like within every team, there's always one person whose like eyes light up and you can tell they're going to be the spark plug and the person that's going to carry the culture to help get it done. Run the Numbers is a mostly LLC production. Yelling an intro by Fat Joe. Artwork by some AI thingamajig. Podcast and video editing is done by Cleancast at cleancast.io. Nothing said on this podcast is intended to be business or investment advice. It's the sole opinion of me, a guy who feeds his dog too much ice cream and has a history of net operating losses, LOL. If you like this podcast, please hit subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. And also check out mostlymetrics.com. That's my newsletter where I explore business models and financial metrics. Thanks for riding with me. Share this with your friends. Peace.